would take about an hour and a half, from 2:15 to about 3:45, all being well. And let's hope the weather holds for us, which I think it will. There's been no sunny days so far for the walk. We're going to divide up into two groups, which will be easier for talking to the groups. Squatters in Cheltenham were found. Pigeons were pecking at salt deposits down where the ladies' college is today, and then became a well and was opened up in 1738 by Captain Henry Skillicorn, who owned the field, put a canopy over it, and put a little and so that put Cheltenham on the map. The first time the monarch stayed had been so far away from this town, basically, and Joseph Pitt was the builder. He came from a very humble background. He started by holding gentlemen's horses for a penny, as is a quote, until an attorney took a fancy to him and took him into his business. And so he then became a solicitor in Cirencester, and then on, and acquired more wealth, and acquired a country seat. We're on the first floor, and below was the main assembly rooms for bands and for walking promenading. Forbes had problems. He supervised the building to start with until the mid-1820s. Then he was fed up and with what was going on, because it wasn't quite his liking. There were going to be two built. And by 1834, the building now in use. Gate stands in its place, and it blocked the lake in its grounds beforehand. But it was what is the view of the bridges, and the idea of a long walk from the square today, and low people only the household. I'm just going to read a quote from the visits about the show that it was stated in the deeds, and that was that was built about 1900, but on the site just over to the right was a little spa. It was called the Little Spa, or Essex Lodge, and that was built at the same time as the pump room, and it was built to encourage people that couldn't be bothered to walk right up to the pump room to take the waters there, and for a nursery in the southwest corner of Wellington Square. We'll be going to the square, where he could cultivate and continue gum, holly, juniper, larch, tulip tree, Scots pine, lilac, yew, rose, apricot and almond. That's why it obviously had quite a special feel to it with all those plants. And the one great. Cross over now and go into Wellington Square, which will be much quieter. They would have been laid down again in the deeds. Often the number of views are stated, and perhaps a conservatory or stables were also put on the plans, and they would have had to have been built by the builder or the owner. And the height of walls was stated, 7 feet was the stated height, and there was still... It's a nice mixture of styles, from Regency on each corner, the white houses, to later Gothic, and to a Victorian Gothic brick house, 1870s over there, which is not in really and it's really very interesting. It's actually improving from 1974. It's a Victorian bazaar. Another left-handed curve an East India Company built that house, Avondale, and one over on the other corner, and they all have a similar date. He paid £2,700 for the site in 1827. And no, I've got this wrong actually. He bought it for £270. He paid for it, and he sold it for £3,500. In the 1860s, and Charles Dickens stayed there in the 1860s, at the previous house. And as everyone knows who wanders through, the chimneys of this part are beautiful. The Gothic chimneys at the time, going from 2 to 3 floors, and the central canopy here, and the very lovely hearts and honeysuckle work. The identical squares. The tomb was probably that Cheltenham Tour, stone, down on the tram road straight into Cheltenham, and for timber outside the houses, and they often exchange materials. And one builder was building one house, next door they might exchange materials. The makeup of the houses inside is well known to anybody who's been in the Holtz Museum or lives in a typical house. It would have been the kitchen and scullery and parlour and butler's pantry underground on the basement.
The size, yeah.
The first 15 houses at the south side of this square were built in 1831, and off Australia next door lived in one house. At the other end of this line, what? Now, he started putting up his number 3 in the row, and the was quite loud about this one for the fear that these were being put up too quickly. There wasn't much talk about it. And also, reflecting a later taste in architecture, early Victorian. Built on again. And there was also a post office. Pitbull Circus was called at that time. possible. So we were certainly not know why did it right. But the balconies here are lovely. There's a piece of wood. These are lovely. Very from the 1840s. And horses must have trotted and still there today. Like very far. It's very nice. The owners, all the owners, would have to build their own pavements as well as gutters. Trying to be a company around just 3 years old as but of course depression. We'll go now down to the Japanese school. Rain first. That's 1833. You might wonder why one has that. It's different. One extra floor. Well, apparently the lake house behind it. 1838. One of the grandest houses in Cheltenham is actually in blocks with acanthus leaves on a frieze up above, emulating the Greek temple. £150,000 worth of debts. So it started being able to afford to pay for 250 acres of land and having a house and so forth. But by this time, it was